In the first episode, I explained the basics of supply and demand zones. Now, in this episode, I will explain how we open trades based on these zones using two examples. Let's first go over how to use entry setups in supply and demand zones. Before we dive into the video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. So, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. First of all, the time frame you're working on is important. If you're trading on a 5-minute chart, you need to understand that some candlesticks forming on smaller time frames, like the 1-minute chart, create the base zones for our movements. On the other hand, broader base movements represent the base zones for higher time frames. So don't forget that either. And friends, no matter how skilled you are at identifying supply and demand zones, the first thing you must do before marking these areas or opening a trade is to confirm the structure. In other words, determine the trend direction. If the trend is downward, you should look for selling opportunities at supply zones. If it's upward, you should aim for buying opportunities at demand zones. Now let's dive into the detailed explanation. When I explaining the supply zone, I mentioned that it forms when the price makes a rally, then moves sideways to create a base zone, and finally drops. This base zone becomes our supply zone. Now, you can see that on the 5-minute time frame for gold, the price has created a supply zone. After identifying the zone, we expect the price to come back, touch the defined zone, and then reverse its direction. In this case, if we decide to open a trade, we can use two types of entry methods at the price's return point. The first method involves placing a sell order at the lower boundary of the supply zone and setting your take profit at the strongest demand zone ahead of the price. However, keep in mind that this method carries a higher risk. I'm not talking about the capital risk per trade here, but about ignoring price confirmation for the entry. This reduces the likelihood of the trade moving in the right direction, because while the supply zone serves as the basis, we don't have a clear signal that the price will reverse. This means the trade has a higher chance of hitting the stop loss since it lacks confirmation. In such entries, the base or supply zone can sometimes be wide, which means your stop loss could also be large. This in turn impacts the risk-reward ratio of the trade. On the other hand, in cases where the zone isn't very wide, entering without waiting for confirmation allows you to avoid missing potential opportunities while waiting for a confirmation candle. To evaluate whether this strategy works for you, it's essential to backtest it. Compare the results of trades where you waited for confirmation against those where you entered without it. This will help you decide which approach suits you best and yields more profitable results. Here we're looking at the M5 chart of gold. On this chart, we can see a shooting star candlestick, and if we look at the red candlestick to its right, we notice that it moved up and then dropped sharply, leaving a large wick. These wicks indicate that on the 1-minute chart, a base area, our supply zone, has formed. Now, there are two ways we can enter a trade in this scenario. First method, we place a sell order at the lower boundary of the supply zone and set our stop loss above the upper boundary of the supply zone. When setting the stop loss level, it's crucial to consider the spread. Whatever the spread is, we need to add a few extra pips above the upper boundary of the supply zone. This ensures that if the spread widens, we won't get stopped out prematurely before the price reaches the supply zone's upper limit and potentially reverses downward. For the take profit level, since we're trading on the 5-minute time frame, we set it at the strongest demand zone visible on the 5-minute or 15-minute chart. After that, we simply wait for the trade to play out. Second method. In this method, we wait for the price to reach the supply zone and give us a confirmation signal before entering a trade. For example, we might wait for a candlestick to form and break downward, or for a bearish candlestick to close, confirming downward momentum. In both methods, we set the stop loss and take profit levels the same way. The only difference is whether we enter the trade immediately or wait for a confirmation signal. The entry method for demand zones is the same as for supply zones. However, in the example I'm about to share, I want to highlight an important detail. Now, let's take a look at a demand zone example. Pay attention to this. When you look at price movements on different time frames, you may see them in different forms, which can lead to confusion. For example, let's take a look at the gold chart on the 5-minute time frame here. Here the price made a rally, followed by a base movement over a large time and price range, and then broke downward with a drop. However, if you look closely, this base movement covers a very wide area on the M5 chart. In such cases, I want to highlight an important point that can help you understand the price structure and avoid confusion. By switching the chart from M5 to M15, we effectively filter out the messy candlesticks visible on the 5-minute chart. Now let's switch from the M15 chart to the M30 chart. Notice how the complex movements created by the wicks become less prominent as we move to the higher time frame. Now let's switch from the M30 chart to the H1 time frame. Here you'll observe that by moving between time frames, we filter out the noise and confusing movements, making it easier to identify the price's supply zone. This shows us that a base movement covering a wide area on the M5 chart actually represents the supply zone formed on a higher time frame. When the price rises from the demand zone, we identify on the M5 and reaches this higher time frame's supply zone. It doesn't necessarily mean the price will reverse directly from the lower boundary of the zone. If we're looking to take a long position at a demand zone, we need to identify the strongest supply zone within this higher time frame supply area for our M5 trades. Similarly, when entering a trade, it's essential to locate the strongest demand zone within a broader demand area to ensure a more reliable entry point. Let me explain it this way. Within a broad supply or demand zone, smaller time frames often form strong supply and demand zones. By paying closer attention, we can identify these zones and use them for precise entries. Additionally, these smaller zones can help us set more accurate stop loss and take profit levels, making our trades more effective. If we focus on the candlestick formed on the M5 chart, we can see that the price has created a demand zone on the M1 time frame. Moreover, if we look to the left, we can observe that the price had previously formed another demand zone. However, this earlier demand zone covers a broader area, making it more significant. To make our entry and stop loss levels more precise, we mark this demand zone formed on the 5-minute chart. Then, we identify the strongest demand zone within it. We set our entry level at the upper boundary of this strongest demand zone and our stop loss a few pips below its lower boundary. To set the take profit level, the first step is identifying the supply zone on a higher time frame to better interpret the price movement. Afterward, we return to our entry time frame, the M5 chart, and identify the specific supply zone within this broader area where the highest number of sellers are likely waiting and where the price might reverse. This is where we set our take profit level. To identify this area, we look at the M5 time frame and locate the candlestick that served as the source of the drop movement. We mark this as our strongest supply zone and set our take profit level accordingly. This method we use for precise entries helps us optimize our risk-reward ratio, enabling us to achieve a 1-to-4 trade in this scenario. That's all for this video, friends. Don't forget to like the video and follow our channel to learn more about detailed explanations and visualized strategies like this one. See you in the next episode.